We are drawn to those who ignite something within us, those who stand before us with confidence, power, and a message that shakes us to our core. They tell us we are stronger than we believe, that our past does not define us, and that the life we want is within reach. And when someone delivers this message with absolute certainty, with energy that feels almost contagious, it's easy to believe every word. For years, we have watched as one man has stood on the biggest stages, his voice booming, his presence undeniable. He has helped millions break free from limiting beliefs, shatter fears, and chase the best versions of themselves. His words have reached not just everyday individuals, but CEOs, world leaders, and some of the most successful people on the planet. His teachings have shaped careers, strengthened relationships, and pulled people out of the darkest moments of their lives. But what happens when the one who preaches personal power is accused of abusing his own? What happens when the figure who stands for truth, resilience, and integrity is confronted with claims that contradict everything he teaches? The allegations have surfaced stories that paint a picture far different from the one seen under the bright lights of the stage. Reports of verbal and emotional manipulation, accusations of inappropriate behavior, employees and former followers speaking out about an environment that at times seemed to demand loyalty over accountability. Some claim that the very techniques meant to empower were also used to intimidate. That the same intensity that pushed people toward breakthroughs could, in another context, be overwhelming, even damaging. Does this mean every lesson shared, every transformation witnessed was a lie? Of course not. But it does force us to ask a difficult question. Can someone be both a force for good and, at the same time, flawed in ways that harm others? And if so, where do we draw the line? This is the duality of influence, the ability to create undeniable impact while also casting a shadow. The power to change lives, but also the responsibility that comes with such influence. Because charisma can be a tool for both inspiration and control. And when one man's voice carries this much weight, we must ask ourselves, are we following wisdom, or are we simply caught in the presence of power? The challenge is not just in questioning the person at the center of it all, but in questioning ourselves. Have we been so moved by the message that we ignored the signs? Have we mistaken intensity for authenticity, confidence for character? Greatness does not make one immune to scrutiny. A powerful voice does not erase the need for accountability. And no matter how many lives are changed, no matter how many success stories are told, we must never let admiration replace responsibility. Because in the end, the real power, the real transformation has never belonged to one person, it has always belonged to us. When a person stands in the spotlight long enough, the world begins to see not just their brilliance, but their shadows as well. The higher someone rises, the more scrutiny they face. And in some cases, that scrutiny reveals truths that are difficult to ignore. For years, we have watched as one man has commanded the stage, his words reshaping lives, his presence inspiring millions. He has taught resilience, courage, and the power of the human mind. He has promised transformation not just in finances and success, but in the deepest corners of personal growth. But now another story is emerging, a story not told on stage, not packaged in a best-selling book, and not wrapped in the energy of an electrifying seminar. This story is far less polished, far more uncomfortable, and impossible to overlook. There have been allegations, claims of inappropriate behavior, verbal abuse in a culture that at times seemed to value loyalty over truth. Some who once stood by his side now speak out, revealing a different reality. They describe moments where the drive for breakthrough turned into psychological pressure, where the push for transformation blurred the line between empowerment and manipulation. There are stories of individuals who felt humiliated, pushed beyond their limits in ways they never consented to. And then there are the deeper accusations, claims of misconduct that go beyond the stage. Reports that suggest a pattern of behavior not just toward those in his audience, but toward those who work closest to him. Some have stepped forward detailing experiences that challenge the image of the figure so many have admired. Now, does one allegation make a man guilty? No. Does controversy erase the impact of decades of work? Not necessarily. But it forces us to look beyond the curated persona, beyond the grand speeches and standing ovations, and ask, what do we truly value? Do we dismiss the voices of those who speak out simply because they challenge the image we want to believe? Or do we listen knowing that true personal growth means being willing to confront uncomfortable truths? This is not about canceling a person. This is not about denying the lives that have been changed. This is about understanding that power, when left unchecked, can create blind spots even in the most charismatic leaders. That influence, when wielded without accountability, can become dangerous. That we as followers must not just embrace the lessons that serve us, but also acknowledge the realities that may challenge us. Because the real question is not just about one man, it is about us. How easily are we swayed by presence, by confidence, by the feeling that someone has all the answers? How often do we ignore the whispers until they become too loud to deny? And most importantly, what do we choose to do when faced with the truth, not just the truth we want to hear, but the truth that demands we see the full picture? There is a force in this world more powerful than logic, more persuasive than facts. It can move crowds, turn skeptics into believers, and make the impossible feel within reach. That force is charisma, and when it is wielded by someone who understands the human mind, it becomes almost unstoppable. For years, we have seen a man who embodies this power. His voice commands attention, his words strike at the core of our emotions, and his presence fills a room before he even speaks. He doesn't just deliver speeches, he orchestrates experiences. He creates moments where people feel breakthroughs, where they believe in themselves like never before, where they are certain that change is happening right then and there. And yet, charisma is a double-edged sword. The same energy that lifts people up can also pull them in deeper than they realize. When someone speaks with absolute certainty, when they radiate confidence, when they promise transformation, it becomes easy, almost natural to follow without question. To accept their words as truth, to see their approval as validation, to shape our beliefs around theirs. This is not manipulation in the obvious sense. It is not deception in the way we expect it to be. It is influence at its highest level. The ability to create beliefs so strong that people stop looking for contradictions. The ability to push people to the limits while making them believe they are in control. The ability to challenge, to provoke, even to humiliate, yet still be seen as a guide, as someone who knows best. And so when questions arise, when allegations surface, when behaviors are called into question, many hesitate. Because the mind resists questioning someone who has given them so much. It resists accepting that the person who helped them break through their fears may have also crossed the line. This is the power of charisma. It is why people defend, why they dismiss, why they hesitate to see the full picture. Because to admit a flaw in the leader is to question the journey they themselves have taken. But the truth is, influence is not proof of righteousness. Charisma is not character. And just because someone has changed lives does not mean they are incapable of causing harm. We must separate the power of the message from the actions of the messenger. We must ask ourselves, have we been moved by wisdom, or have we simply been moved? Have we been empowered, or have we been conditioned to believe in someone else's power over us? This is not about denying the good. It is about seeing it alongside the bad. It is about recognizing that even those who inspire are still human, capable of greatness, but also of failure. And if we truly seek growth, we must have the courage to question, to hold accountable, and to decide for ourselves where influence ends and integrity begins. We live in a world that celebrates success. We admire those who rise above challenges, who build empires, who stand on the world's biggest stages and tell us that we too can achieve anything. We look at them as proof that transformation is real, that the right mindset, the right strategy, the right guidance can change everything. But in our admiration, we often forget to ask a crucial question: does success excuse everything else? For years, a man has stood before millions preaching the power of personal responsibility, the importance of integrity, and the ability to control one's destiny. His words have reached far beyond the walls of his events into boardrooms, into relationships, into the very way people think about their lives. He has helped people conquer fears, build confidence, and take charge of their futures. And for that, he is celebrated. But what happens when allegations emerge? When stories surface that don't fit the image we have been shown? When those who once stood beside him now step forward with claims of manipulation, misconduct, or abuse of power, do we listen? Or do we dismiss these voices because we don't want them to be true? This is the dilemma we face, the tendency to believe that because someone has created massive impact, their flaws should be overlooked. That because they have helped so many, the harm they may have caused is somehow less important. That because they have built something incredible, they are above scrutiny, but integrity does not work that way. Influence does not erase accountability. A person's ability to change lives does not give them the right to act without consequence. And yet, time and time again, we see the same pattern, people excusing questionable behavior because they cannot separate the message from the messenger. They tell themselves that the end justifies the means, that the results are all that matter. But what if we look deeper? What if we ask ourselves, can true success exist without integrity? Can impact truly be positive if it comes at the cost of others? Can a leader genuinely empower if they themselves do not embody the values they teach? It is easy to follow someone when they inspire us. It is harder to hold them accountable when they disappoint us. But growth, true growth, demands that we do both, that we acknowledge both the light and the shadow, that we celebrate the good while refusing to ignore the bad, that we demand the same standards from those who lead us as they demand from us. Because in the end, greatness is not just about what you achieve, it is about how you achieve it. And if we are to learn anything from those who stand before us, let it be this: no success, no influence, no legacy is worth more than the truth. We are drawn to leaders. We seek guidance, inspiration, and wisdom from those who seem to have the answers. We follow their words, adopt their strategies, and trust in their vision. And when someone stands before us, larger than life, commanding a room with confidence and power, we assume they must have figured something out that we haven't. For years, we have watched as one man has built an empire on the promise of transformation. His voice has reached millions, has changed lives, and his influence has shaped the way people think about success, relationships, and personal growth. He has positioned himself not just as a teacher, but as a force, a leader whose presence alone demands attention. But what happens when the lines between leadership and control begin to blur? When the very person who preaches empowerment also commands unwavering loyalty. When questioning him becomes a betrayal and following him becomes an expectation. Leadership is not about blind devotion. It is not about placing someone on a pedestal so high that we refuse to see their flaws. And yet, time and time again, we see figures of influence placed above accountability simply because of the impact they have had. We tell ourselves that their success proves their character, that their achievements justify their actions. But in doing so, we give them power not just over our beliefs, but over our judgment. There is a difference between inspiration and dependency, between learning from someone and surrendering to their authority. True empowerment means questioning, thinking critically, and never allowing admiration to cloud our ability to see the full picture. It means recognizing that no leader, no matter how powerful, is beyond scrutiny. When allegations arise, when behaviors come into question, we must resist the urge to dismiss them simply because they challenge the image we have built in our minds. We must be willing to look beyond the energy of the stage, beyond the captivating words, beyond the moments that made us feel unstoppable. Because personal growth is not just about what we are taught, it is about what we choose to accept as truth. And the truth is, no leader is above accountability. No mentor should demand absolute trust. No figure, no matter how influential, should be placed beyond question. Because the moment we stop questioning, we stop thinking for ourselves. So let us not mistake influence for integrity. Let us not trade critical thinking for blind faith. Let us hold those who guide us to the same standards they claim to uphold. Because the greatest lesson any leader can teach us is not how to follow, but how to lead ourselves. For as long as we can remember, we have been told to seek guidance from those who have walked the path before us. We look for mentors, leaders, and icons, people who can show us the way, who can help us unlock the strength we didn't know we had. We invest our time, our trust, and sometimes even our identity into their teachings, believing that through them we will find the transformation we seek. For years, one man has embodied this promise. His words have pushed people past their fears. His methods have given them a sense of control over their lives, and his presence has made them believe that anything is possible. He has stood before audiences of thousands, igniting something deep within them, giving them the feeling that change is happening in real time. But the greatest illusion of influence is the belief that transformation comes from an external source, that the power to change, to rise, to break through is found in the presence of one figure rather than within ourselves. That without their guidance, we are lost. The truth is, no seminar, no book, no speech can give us what we do not already have. These things may serve as catalysts, but the real work, the real breakthroughs have never belonged to anyone but us. And yet, too often, we place our faith in the person on the stage rather than in ourselves. We credit them for our growth rather than acknowledging that the strength was within us all along. This is how influence becomes dependence. This is how motivation turns into reliance. And this is why when questions arise, when allegations surface, when the leader we trusted is called into doubt, so many struggle to accept the truth. Because it is easier to believe in a person than to believe that we were the source of our own success. But real empowerment is not about following one voice. It is about recognizing that the power has always been ours. That no single person, no matter how charismatic or inspiring, holds the key to our transformation. That we were never changed by their words alone, but by our willingness to act on them. So when we see the full picture, both the brilliance and the controversy, both the inspiration and the accusations, we must not let admiration cloud our judgment. We must not fear questioning those we once followed. Because if they truly believed in our ability to grow, then they would welcome accountability, not avoid it. True empowerment means knowing that no one person is the source of our strength. It means taking the lessons, leaving behind the illusions, and stepping forward with the knowledge that the power to change our lives has never belonged to anyone else. It has always belonged to us. We have explored both the light and the shadows, the power of influence and the responsibility that comes with it. We have seen how a single voice can inspire millions, yet also demand accountability. We have questioned the fine line between empowerment and control, between admiration and blind faith. And most importantly, we have reminded ourselves of a truth that no leader, no icon, no figure of influence can ever take away real transformation. Real strength, real power has always belonged to us. Let us move forward with clarity, with wisdom, and with the courage to think for ourselves. Let us celebrate the lessons we have learned, but never at the cost of ignoring the truth. And above all, let us remember that no matter who stands before us, no matter how powerful their words, we are the ones who shape our own lives. Thank you for your time, your open minds, and your willingness to see beyond the surface. I wish you all the strength, wisdom, and success you seek. Good luck and thank you.